Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 24th of May, 2022. Coming up, the Crusty Canuck podcast, episode 174. WEF and the Matriarchal Fornicators. You'll be happy, I know nothing. My rant and rave on the clowns in Switzerland making decisions for you and me. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and happy weekend out there to all of my friends and patriots alike. Happy Victoria Day weekend, yes, in honor of Her deceased Majesty Queen Victoria, one of the sovereigns of Canada. However, that's irrelevant right now. As the title says, WEF and the Matriarchal Fornicators. I think we all know what that means, right? So this is just a rant and rave, ladies and gentlemen, my projection of all these bigwigs that are in Switzerland making these tough decisions for you and me in regards to money and saving the world in the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution. And just as a reminder, too, listener and viewer discretion is advised. I tend to use my hands for unlawful gestures, and I swear a lot. This is also brought to you in part by Dark Horse Schooling. Dark Horse Entrepreneur, brought to you by the fine person by the name of Tracy Brinkman. He will help you with your podcast and all that good stuff to get it out there in the open and make some money for yourself. And if you do sign up with his program at darkhorseschooling.com, links will be in the description. Tell him that Crusty Canuck sent you. Give yourself a little treat and me a treat too. Anyway, carrying on. As I said, WEF and the Matriarchal Fornicators. I think we all know what the term matriarchal fornicator means. Big mofos, right? So here's my projection, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff is going on Davos, Switzerland right now as we speak. In regards to all the bigwigs, we have our politicians there, of course, Miss Chrysler Freeland, Prime Minister Trudeau, other American aficionados, Joe Biden and his conglomerate, everyone associated with Joe Biden. There's a lot of politicians from the past and their bigwigs that are part of the World Economic Forum. Basically, a lot of rich people are going to tell you what to do with your time and effort and your money. All of a sudden, as far as they're concerned, your money is their money and everything is happy. Now, we've all seen the Klaus Schwab thing in regards to you've heard own nothing and be happy. You've heard me ramble on about that before on the podcast. Jawohl. And the man's evil. Okay. I have no intention of reading his book about the Great Reset. I have no intention of reading anyone's book on resetting the way things are right now for our lives. What we need to, quote unquote, reset for ourselves is to stand up for basic liberty, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. The world was given a mud pie in regards to the past issues. Past 2 years, the lockdowns, ridiculous mandates, when to get a jab, when not to get a jab, when to do this, when to do that. And you get to see how the censorship and how people have projected fear in the name of safety. Okay. You get to see some of the ideas and some of the brainstorms and some of the think tanks that have kind of regurgitated through the chaos of what was going on here past couple of years. People losing their jobs, people losing their minds. How many suicides have gone through the roof? How many young people have contemplated suicide? How many medical conditions have come and gone because of these issues? Okay. How many people do you know personally are still outside wearing masks? I was around a couple of hardware stores yesterday getting some stuff for the house, and I can count about 12 people in my area still wearing masks. Okay. I was only out for about an hour, but I still counted 12 people wearing masks. So it goes to show you how the manipulation and how the general consensus in the populace still thinks in regards to safety. Okay. Now, like I mentioned before, I volunteered to get the jabs. I got 2 of them. Okay. I had no intentions of getting any kind of boosters, no intentions of doing anything thereof. And I don't care if I get censored for this or not. I have other platforms I can be on. But you, my fans, my followers, first-time listeners, first-time viewers, okay, enough of this fear, enough of this garbage, enough of this crap. Okay. No one's going to make decisions for me on what to do with my money. Nobody. And no one should make decisions for you on what to do with your money. I know it's tax time in Canada and the United States. I think Britain too. I'm not exactly sure. But where's it going to go? I just saw in the news today that our beloved defense minister, Anita Arnaud, who was our procurement minister before the last federal election, who was very, very hush-hush when it came to procurement of certain items of interest, right? Yeah. We don't want to talk too much about those because we don't want to forfeit any kind of contract obligations, right? And now she's given away roughly 155, or correction, about 20,000 rounds of ammunition for the 4 guns that we've sent over to Ukraine, right? Such a quick response for something. And yet the same government cannot outfit our military, procure things properly in a timely fashion, in the same quick response when it comes to our deployments and getting things done for our men and women in uniform. Interesting concept, eh? It's funny how some of that really works. And then when you ask them to get things done for Canada, this is the answer they usually give us. Yeah, nothing but crickets. But because they're on the world stage and they want to try to save face and look good, okay, this is what they're doing. So more millions being wasted on a dirty fucking war, when they should be spending the millions here in Canada looking after Canadians. That's just me, though. Now, I've said numerous times, ladies and gentlemen, I do feel bad for the people of Ukraine, and I also feel bad for the people of Russia, too, especially on both sides of the fence being lied to, and regardless of what dirty tricks are up anyone's sleeves, right? And, of course, the WEF is probably having a heyday behind closed doors, because you're not seeing a lot of mainstream media out there doing things. You're seeing the likes of Rebel. You're seeing the likes of True North, other independent Canadian outlets, independent British outlets, Australian outlets. Get in there trying to get the story on who these people are and what they're trying to do with your money, right? Something to really, really think about when it comes to it. But, I'm so angry and I'm concerned, but I'm trying to be as fluid and as open and decipher this to the best of my ability. Like I said, I'm not going to read any of that clown's books on how to reset the world. Okay. This is how we can reset the world. We can start doing our own thing and standing up for what's right for our people in our own backyard. Okay. And that's every nation. To my American friends out there, same thing with you. My British friends, to everyone who listens to this podcast across the world, if I'm so fortunate to have viewership, is stand up in your own backyard and clean up your own mess first before you start worrying about my mess or her mess or their mess.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, and share this all around your social media platforms. You can find me on Rumble, on the Tube, on Facebook. You can also find me on Amazon, Brighton, and also Player FM. My home page is Podbean, so please check me out there. If you just want to listen to the podcast, you can download it and listen to it at your leisure, by all means. But please share this all around your social media platforms. Help us independent guys get our words out there so you, the wonderful consumer and listener and viewer, can take your own opinion and use it at your will. It's that simple, okay? What gets me is a lot of these clowns in the WEF and all the bigger wigs, the whole so-called elites, talking about how, we have this environmental crisis. Panic again. The beer bug. Panic again. So let's keep projecting more panic and more fear to get people to spend more money on things they don't need, okay? Or to get rid of their money on things that they might need or they might not need. Okay. I've said before in the show, ladies and gentlemen, stock up on your dry goods, stock up on things that you think is necessary for you and your family or your loved ones or your lover, boyfriend, girlfriend, or however you identify. Okay. The people that mean something to you. Okay. My wife and I, we purchased some dry goods. We're getting some more later on too. We've also spent a small fortune doing some home repairs, getting our decks fixed up and all that proper. We had some wood ants issues. Those little fuckers, they're worse than termites, but you get my point. Okay. WEF is like wood ants. They'll sit there and gnaw at the foundation until things fall apart, and yet they'll blame somebody else. Here's a little tidbit that I found from a gentleman and a scholar. What's his name? Excuse me. He had a little video he put up here on Instagram there, and it's interesting. I'll put it on there for you, and you can decide exactly what's there. But listen to it carefully about monitoring things. Okay.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Like, really? We don't have the technology yet, but we're working on it, just to make sure your own private little footprint doesn't, constrict and conflict with our interests and what we want you to do, right? They're already talking about little chips they can put in your hand, little chips put in your finger or your butt or whatever you want to put it. It reminds me of that scene from the original Total Recall from 1990, 91, where Schwarzenegger, that big ball that he pulls out of his nose. Is that what we're coming to? That's a track your movements. What do you put in your body? Oh, you had that cheeseburger? Oh, we don't want you eating that cheeseburger. No, that's not very good. That's very, very bad. No, we don't want you eating the hot dog. No French fries for you. No ketchup, no poutine. No. Here, eat bugs. Very good protein and sustain you for a long time. I know it's a terrible German accent, but when I look at a guy like Klaus Schwab and his little followers, and all Christopher Freelands out there tilting their head and going, Mr. Speaker, this is good for the people. I don't find anything genuine or good about those individuals. Okay. I don't find anything genuine or good by somebody who has been nurtured and spoon-fed all their natural lives. I don't find anything good-natured about a rich kid who has had nothing but handed things all of his or her natural life, like our prime minister, like some of the Liberal cabinet, some of our conservative politicians, and some of the NDP too. Always telling other people to do with their money, how to live their lives again. Is that democratic? Well, obviously, we're not being sized up for anything democratic now, are we? No, of course not. Because we would own nothing and we'd be happy, right? Said no one. Right? If these guys are such a beacon of hope and it's such a shining example of how they're going to govern and look after the world, how about we start with them? How about you clowns out there with all the money? If you happen to be watching this podcast or listening right now and laughing in your ivory tower that was paid for by your taxpayers or by your workers, sitting there in the high horse, listening to the sound of your own voice, how about you give up something before you tell us to give up something? How about you try owning nothing and being happy and see how it fucking fits?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be happy, WEF and the Matriarchal Fornicators, and you will own nothing. Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. Own nothing. So everything that I've worked for, everything that you've worked for out there, and I've had some great emails from some fans of mine that said they paid off their car and they were getting their house payments done because they're back working again, getting things on the go for themselves and their families after this 2-year ridiculous issue, right? And now we got to hear this crap from these clowns in Davos, Switzerland. Okay. So I highly suggest, ladies and gentlemen, when you get a chance, check out the likes of Rebel News, True North Media, True North Center, True North Media, owned by Candace Malcolm. Great program. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of conservative values that she promotes, but she gets the story out there. Like to Daniel Boardman and independent people out there, all the same. Even yours truly. Check me out once in a while when I have updates and things. Right? We have to counter these clowns. We have to counter these people that sit there and think what's good for them is going to be good for us. What'd be good for me is that if I get my decent paycheck and I pay less tax, that'd be good for me right now. But we can't do that now, can we, Klaus or PM Trudeau or Ms. Freeland? Because you rely on that tax revenue, to scuttle your asses across the ocean and create more of a carbon footprint, with jets and being, limousined around like your royalty, right? And yet, while that crap's going on in Europe, people here in North America are still worrying about what happened with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Well, Amber Turd, whatever you want to call her. She shit the bed in that one. No pun, but that's what happened, apparently. She took a dump in his bed. Nice girl, eh? Oh, something you want to bring home to mama. Anyway, I think you get my point when it comes to the deflections. And I mentioned that in my last episode too, deflections, the war in Ukraine, the war in Elon, and everything else that is taking us away from what's happening. Like I said, we should concentrate in our own backyards, concentrate on what's going on in Canada. Yes, I do feel for Ukraine, and I do feel for anybody in a war-torn country. But we don't hear anything more about the civil war in Yemen. All the civil wars are going off and on in Africa at all times, right? We're being deterred, deflected, right? People are constantly worrying about the CRT, the critical race theory that's been going on in schools today. Sexual identity courses that are going on in schools today in regards to teaching little kids, right? I don't know about you, but see, I don't care who's gay or who's straight or who's bi or tri, whatever you identify as, by all means, live your life the best of your ability, okay? But there's no need to teach kids about sexuality. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's straight, doesn't matter if it's gay, it doesn't matter. Let little kids be kids and let them grow into it by their own means. Okay? That's a problem we should worry about here in North America. Okay? We should worry about where we're going to get the resources to fund another war or to help in humanitarian aid when it comes to another devastating war. Okay? We have stuff in this country called oil that we can produce and send to the market. But no, we've got ridiculous rules. Bill C-69, I believe, and Bill C-48. Yeah. Stupid things like that was brought to you by the elected government that promoted sunny ways. Well, the sun's turning into a fucking darkness and turning into a nuclear winter. And if we don't fucking smarten up, shit's going to happen. So there's something there, right? Something to think about, folks. And again, I can rant on about how Mr. Klaus Schwab is very, very well-to-do. And the people at Davos are very, very well-to-do. Lots of connections. Switzerland has always been a haven of people's laundering and people's saving their assets and everything. And if you're good at your job and you work really hard and you make a fortune, by all means. I'm not the kind of person who's going to tell you what to do with your money. Do what you want with it, right? My concern is that people have the freedom to make money and do what they like with their lives. As long as they're not hitting people, taking their stuff, I think we'll just get along magically, right? But unfortunately, these clowns in Switzerland don't want to do that. These clowns that were elected to represent this democracy don't want to do that. The clowns that were elected in the United States don't want to do that. And I'm sure my American friends can relate to some of the buffoonery they have got from Mr. Rocky Road Biden and Kamala under the desk Harris, right? Again, I'm going to remind everybody too, I grew up in a household where I don't judge people based on the color of their skin or their gender. I judge people based on their merits and their efforts and their actions. Okay? I don't judge people based on how well they play basketball or how well they play hockey. I don't judge people based on how well they drive a tractor or drive a sports car. I judge people on the actions they took to get to that point and how they treat other people. Okay? And I've had some wonderful debates with people offline in regards to that. And I've had some interesting debates online with people on Facebook and other pages in regards to entitlement and privileges, what have you. A privilege is something that you earn. You work for something, you earn something. That privilege is earning a paycheck or earning perks with a said paycheck, like dental benefits or eye benefits or certain insurance or certain breaks when it comes to the stores that you work in or the places of employment you work at. Those are privileges to me. When someone says to me, you better check your privilege, my response is, you better fucking check your prejudice. Because you don't know the decisions I made to be where I'm at today. Just like I don't know the decisions you made to be where you're at today. Right? But if you're sitting in a noble institution, paying anywhere from 40 to 50 grand for an education, in some cases, 100 grand for an education, maybe you should check the privileges you have to be where you're at there. Maybe you should check your surroundings. And I encourage any little commie wannabe out there to engage me. Bring it. Bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it. Right? Because you and I both know you don't see people making rafts in Florida to float down to Cuba now, do you? You don't see people waiting in line for North Vietnam or mainland China or North Korea to say, hey, we want to join your proletariat. We don't see that, do you? No, of course not. Right? So any little commies and socialists out there want to keep bringing the garbage, bring it. And I'll throw it back at you. Fidel Castro died almost a billionaire. Che Guevara had a few bucks in the bank too. Right? So you look at all these great commie leaders and some of the resources they had stuck away for themselves. You can say they're hypocritical. That's why I'm back to the WEF again too, because here are these guys with all this money telling you what to do. You know, the famous, you would own nothing and be happy. What do you know it's going to make me happy, Klaus? What do you know it's going to make me happy, Miss Freeland, Mr. Trudeau? What do you know about the people that you represent that's going to make them happy? Because none of us have represented the people properly since you've been elected. And I could say the same thing for some of my American counterparts. Some of the Democratic models that really kissed Joe Biden's ass. And for what? The idea of safety, the idea of security. It's up to us to maintain that security. It's up to you and me to keep that security alive. And to hold these people at account, right? There's footage out there of First Nations basically calling Justin Trudeau a fake. Okay, I didn't add it today. I'm sorry. I'll leave a link in the description for you all to follow there, ladies and gentlemen, if you decide to. But it shows you the genuine 180 that this gentleman committed since his election. He was a firm believer in helping the First Nations. So was his father, ironically enough. And yet his father stood by and did nothing when it came to residential schooling. Same as Jean Chrétien, did nothing. Not a bloody thing. And I was actually asked by a couple of people from the First Nations who asked me while I was doing my campaign, do you believe there was a genocide? I believe there was unfairness. I believe there was racism and prejudice and bigotry. Not a genocide. We got to find the truth in that, right? Hence, truth and reconciliation. I want the truth too. You're damn right I want the fucking truth. And when it comes to all these bodies that have been found in these so-called mass graves, quote unquote, let's dig it up and find the truth. But none of these places have been dug up yet. None of these places have been looked at. Yes, ground radar is fine. It's fantastic. But I know for a fact every time there's a crime committed and they find a buried body, they dig it up to find the truth and get on there with the best forensics that money can buy. Right? But I'm on the side of the First Nations when it comes to Justin Trudeau. A fake. He is a fake. He doesn't care. I don't think there's been a prime minister that's cared about the First Nations or the longevity of this nation since at least 1968. Okay? And it has nothing to do with racism or sexism. It's just some rich kid's perspective. Right? And I was growing up, we knew racism was bad. We were taught that, not just in our schools, but at home too. We were taught bigotry was bad. We were taught that at home and in school too. And you never found any reason to have any kind of movement like BLM or anything thereof. Okay. Yeah, there might have been the odd racist cop, might have been the odd racist thug out there, but not en masse, and definitely not in our fucking parliament. Right? Because I remember seeing diversity when I was a kid. Walking down the street, oh, there's somebody from China, or there's somebody from Jamaica. Oh, there's somebody from Portugal. So diversity was all around. There was still quite the culture mix. It wasn't a necessity. But at that time, too, we were still taught that you earn something based on merit. You work for something based on merit. You get ahead based on merit. You earn that meritocracy. And like I mentioned before, ladies and gentlemen, in my career in the military, I have worked with some wonderful people, some of them women, and some of those women earned it just the same as any man. And regardless of the so-called toxic culture that some of our brass and our bureaucrats have promoted, okay, a lot of the pain came from senior officials, not some of the junior NCOs and senior NCOs that I worked with and worked for, respectively. So there's a lot of bullshit in the corners. I get it. But it just goes to prove that we're being told one story when something else is going on. So it's time to be factual and being realistic and being honest with ourselves and holding the powers to be in account, to account. That simple. The only thing else I can think of other than that is a fight. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see riots in the streets. I don't want to see burnings built down. I don't want to see people's businesses go up in smoke because someone misinterpreted a command or because someone misinterpreted an action. We all saw that happen with the George Floyd incident. I personally believe that anyone who dies in police custody, it's a crime. It doesn't matter what the crime is. You should be arrested and face due process, no matter what the crime is. To die in custody, to me, is a crime. But just because Mr. Floyd died, that doesn't mean it gives people the right to smash and destroy property either, and destroy buildings and livelihoods and threaten people's lives because you're mad. Times I've been mad. Times I've been raging to the skies, to whatever God's up there screaming and yelling. And still, I didn't destroy anyone's business. I didn't steal anyone's stuff. I didn't destroy anyone's property. But perceptions, right? Context, all that good stuff. I'll leave it at this, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be working the next little while again. But when it comes to the World Economic Forum and the peoples that support it, keep them on their toes. Ask them the tough questions. Make them answer. If they don't have an answer, then they're full of shit. Then find it from somebody else. Okay? It's your money, your livelihood. You decide what you want to do with it. And that's the way it should be. That's basic liberty at its finest. And in fact, when you look back, it's basic liberalism at its finest too. But we don't see the powers that be doing that, do we? No. They got to sit there and tell you what to do again to make themselves feel better. And then when they're sitting there scolding at you, they're bent over and someone else is wiping their tush for them. Something to think about. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 24th of May, 2022. If you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this stuff all around your social media platforms. Links to my shop and how you can donate to me will be in my description as always. So please consider donating today. I'm still working on my locals page. I had a faux pas there yesterday. I was going through it. And a couple of the tidbits I put on there for viewership didn't come out properly. So I got to reload it again. Anyhow, bear with me, but I appreciate your patience nonetheless. Like I say, share this stuff all around your social media platforms. Tell the world about Crusty Canuck. Help a guy out. You know, I like to get this podcast out and about to a lot of good people out there too. And stay tuned to my Facebook page and YouTube page, respectively, for updates when things change. And we will find light at the end of this manufactured darkness, ladies and gentlemen. It's time we start believing in each other and believing in ourselves again, regardless of how much trauma is out there. I know it's been a tough couple of years for a lot of people, but we shall persevere. Look what our grandparents did in the 1930s. There was no social programs, no safety nets, no internet, just radio and books. Keep people going, keep people doing that sense of community, keep sharing and keep understanding. I just don't want to see a war to change everything again. That's just me, though, ladies and gentlemen. What say you? Let me know. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. Links and information in the description, too. If you want to send me an email or write me a nice letter or send me some swagger, there's a mailing address in there, too, for you to enjoy. But like I say, it's 24th of May, 2022. I hope nothing but good things for you all out there. And do what we can to help each other out in these trying times, ladies and gentlemen. Keep our chin ups and we shall persevere. Don't be shy to give a neighbor a hand if he needs it or she needs it, or someone less fortunate with a few extra dollars or some canned goods or some food. And just try to be good to people, to the best of our abilities. Okay? Like I say, do what you can to help each other in these trying times. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama said I had a face for radio.